What's up, YouTube? It's Dev here with you. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Watching some college football championship games, conference championships. Just watched the Longhorns lose to Georgia in overtime, so I wasn't too thrilled about that, but it is what it is. We're still in the playoffs, though. So I'm going to be doing a deck breakdown tonight for you. This is the Terapagos EX. Got a total of 21 Pokemon, 30 trainer cards, and 9 energy. So we're going to first start off the Pokemon. Got 3 copies of Terapagos EX. Got 2 different attacks. For 2 colorless energy, you got Unified Beatdown. So if you go second, you can't use this attack during your first turn. This attack does 30 damage for each of your bench Pokemon. Or for a lightning, water, and grass energy, this does Crown Opal, which does 180 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from the basic non-colorless energy Pokemon. So I know a few decks use double colorless energy, but I'm testing the waters out with the grass, water, and electric. So again, we got 3 copies of Terapagos EX. Next up, we got 3 copies of Hoot Hoot. And those ones are from Stellar Crown. Does triple stab, flip 3 coins. This attack does 10 damage for each heads. Noctowl, 3 copies from Stellar Crown. Jewel Seeker ability. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, which is Hoot Hoot. If you have any Terra Pokemon in play, you may search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So if you want to get Arven out on the bench, Iono out on the bench, or in your hand, search your deck for those, or a Nest Ball or a Rare Candy. Search for basically any trainer card. Then we have 2 copies of Bouffalant from Stellar Crown. This one is Curly Wall for the ability. And it is as long as you have at least 1 other Bouffalant in play, all of your basic Pokemon take 60 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. The effect of Curly Wall doesn't stack. Next up, we got Fan Rotom. Fan Call. Once during your first turn, you may search your deck for up to 3 colorless Pokemon with 100 HP or less. Reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. You can't use more than 1 Fan Call ability during your turn. So this is good to get out Bouffalant. Next up, we have 1 copy of Duskull. Figured I'd use the one from Crown Zenith just because I wanted to have something fancy in the deck. Next one is 1 copy of Dusclops. Curse Blast. Once during your turn, you may put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you use the ability, the Pokemon is knocked out, and your turn does not end on this ability. So you could still go and still knock out your opponent's Pokemon. 1 copy of Dusknoir. Curse Blast again. This time, instead of 5 counters, you put 13, so it deals 130 damage. You want to try and get this one evolved quick. More damage you do, the better chance you have at knocking out your opponent. I know some decks call for 2 Pidgey and 2 Pidgeot. I'm testing it out with just 1 Pidgey and 1 Pidgeot, but I might rearrange it. But got Pidgey. Of course, everyone knows the attack on that. And then quick search for Pidgeot. Search your deck for a card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand to shuffle your deck. Manaphy. Figured I'd put in Manaphy to use for bench protection. This is one of the decks that I saw that was made from Limitless. So this card does come in handy. 1 copy of Blood Moon Ursaluna. Same style attack as Radiant Charizard. It takes one less energy for each prize card your opponent has taken. And 1 copy of Pheasant Skippity EX. So if your opponent knocks out one of your Pokemon, you can draw 3 cards, and you can't use more than one Flip the Script each turn. So again, that is 21 Pokemon. Next up, we got our trainers. This, I decided to do a little tweaking. I put Terra Orb in here. So search my deck for a Terra Pokemon, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is if I want to get Terapagos out on the bench quick. So I'm kind of glad they put these cards in Surging Sparks now. 2 copies of Ultra Ball. Be sure to discard 2 cards from your hand and then search your deck for a Pokemon. 4 copies of Nest Ball. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon such as Terapagos, Bouffalon, Hoot Hoot, any of those guys. Reveal it, put it onto your bench, shuffle your deck. Next up, we got 3 copies of Area Zero Underdepths. So if you have each player who has any Terra-type Pokemon in play, you can have up to 8 Pokemon on their bench. Bad part is, if your opponent puts out a new stadium and this one gets discarded, you have to remove however many extra Pokemon you have on your bench. 1 copy of Briar. Can only use this card if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining. During this turn, if your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out by damage and attack from an attack by your Terra used by your Terra Pokemon, take 1 more prize card. We also got 2 copies of Iono. Pretty simple on Iono. Got 3 copies of Rare Candy, which I might tweak this a little bit. Maybe just put 2 Rare Candies in, but the 3 is probably going to work a little bit better. So choose one of your basic Pokemon in play. If you have a Stage 2 card in your hand that evolves from that Pokemon, put that card onto the basic Pokemon to evolve it, skipping Stage 1. 1 copy of Hisuian Heavy Ball. Look at your face-down prize cards. You may reveal a basic Pokemon you find there. So if you have, say, Terapagos in your prize card, you can put the Hisuian Heavy Ball in its place as a face-down prize card. Switch. Got 1 copy of Switch. Decided to go vintage with this. Pokemon Catcher. This one is one you can use in the tournament, so I'm pointing this out right now. So if anyone has any discussions or anything, this is the one you can use. You cannot use the one that does not include the tech, that doesn't have this text right here, flip a coin, and if heads, if it just says switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon, you cannot use that card in tournaments. It's this one. They'll flip a coin. If heads, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. So I know some people say you can still use the older ones that say switch one of your opponent's their bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. It's this one you can use in the tournaments. Let's see. Next up, we got 1 copy of Penny. Put one of your basic Pokemon and all attached cards into your hand. Counter Catcher. You can play this card only if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. Got 1 copy of Boss's Orders. Switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. 1 copy of Professor Turo's Scenario. Put one of your Pokemon in play into your hand. Discard all cards attached to that Pokemon. 3 copies of Buddy Buddy Poffin. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less and put them onto your bench. Then shuffle your deck. Night Stretcher. You can put a Pokemon or basic energy card from your discard pile into your hand. 2 copies of that. 1 copy of Professor's Research. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Pretty simple. Next up on energy, we have 3 of each. Water, lightning, grass. Total of 9 energy. Like I said, I know some decks do take the double turbo energy, but I wanted to try something different with the water, grass, and lightning energy. I have played this on TCG Live, had some good results from it, and it does work out pretty well. So I'm going to tweak it a little bit more and see what it comes up with. So that's a deck breakdown of Terapagos EX. So hope you guys have a good night. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.